Okay, so I'm just my name is Patricia Gilligan. I live in the city of Sydney, in the inner west area of the city of Sydney. The inner west is a specific human mind control district, and that's why they actually differentiate it from the city, in the sense that they say that this is a particular area controlled by one Sydney City Council. In other words, that's like the powers that control the whole country control the entire west city of Sydney, and also, but they are specifically located as their base in this particular extended area. I'm not going to go into details about this because it's not relevant, the actual changing of areas in the area where I live. But I am just, for no reason, I'm going to try to show something here. No, I'm not going to show outside today. I was going to go outside, but today is a so-called sacred public holiday, like for a particular religion or denomination of a world belief system, which all world belief systems are only what I would call true, but they are used by Lucifer, the god that controls earth, or whatever title or name you want to put on this earth god deity that controls the earth world, or at least controls it through the infiltration of its demigods or disciples. The demigods are merely human representatives for this God entity. I use the title Lucifer, that changed its name or became then known as Satan because of the iniquity in its mind, because it was an artificial mind. It was an artificial technical being that was created long before mankind, as I'm told. But of course, all these things are, of course, also part of human mind control deception. So many might have more insight into this than myself. And so just try to understand as I have to try to understand, and know that everything is about controlling and therefore deceiving the human mind, or at least getting the human mind to think the way the Earth Matrix God entity wants you to think, and its disciples want you to think. And that may or may not be in line with your better or your true self. This is, I think, the deception. But I'm not going to elaborate here because I wasn't intending to make this particular video. But because I turned on the TV screen and just happened to see an old music video which was in my own past fabricated memories or distorted memories. And I say that because there's so much mind control that I have to doubt my own actual memories. But what I am going to say is that despite that, I'm going to try to use my own past lifetime memories of when I was very young, say 20 years old, and I'm now, into what would normally be classed as old age. But these days, people don't have the same opinion about age, and they try to distort the age factor. But it just simply means how long you've been living in the earth, of course. But what I am going to say is that all these things also are about illusion and trying to make, I think, human beings feel, is the word, I think, very out of place in their own world, or not in line with what is natural for them, because you're actually in a world that isn't natural, where beings have taken over, and by that I mean simply that they control your view of things, your information, how you think, because you're only as good, as they often used to say, as the company you keep, or by what you surround yourself with. In other words, I'm only going to react to what's around me, which is why I have a patrol control force around me 24/7, and that also is implemented according to the actual time of night or day. The sun has just come up, and it is a public holiday, so it is not likely, or should not be possible, for them to be infiltrating my senses with too much negative sound today. But that, of course, will still happen, because even though it's a public holiday, which means there should be very little traffic on the roads. In fact, most of the time there shouldn't be much traffic around me anyway, but instead I have thousands and thousands of heavy vehicles, noisy vehicles, that are deliberately designed to go past me, making unpleasant, destructive, mechanical sounds at me. And this is so that I'm out of touch with, my nature, and by my nature, and also with nature, but also just with having, a pleasant environment. In other words, because if you've got negative vehicles around you patrolling and definitely tracking you down like a hunted animal daily, in a covert manner, to where you can't complain or do anything about it, because you can't stop vehicles from travelling on the road. You can't stop vehicles from making a loud noise as they go past you. And you can't even complain to the authorities, because it's passing. It's there and then it's gone. You don't know the androids that drive the vehicles. You know they're artificially intelligent beings by their demeanour and by their aggressive anti-life manner. Also, you understand the psychopathy of the so-called human nature, which is not human nature, it's anti-human nature. That's the deception, is that these beings are not the same as what you'd think a human being should be. And that's how they get away with these programs around real human beings, because one, they enjoy controlling and they enjoy suppressing human beings, particularly more human beings. The more human you are, the more frail you are as a human being, the more they want to patrol and literally, as they say, not just suppress you, but they're antagonizing you. They're trying to elicit anger from you, knowing that if you express it, you look as though you're aggressive at something that isn't real, because there's no connection. If you have a community that is really a different species that's working against you whilst pretending to be the real life and pretending to be human, you have a force against you that you can't explain legitimately, that you can't prove that you are being patrolled and, and actually being tormented daily. And you can't do anything about it because of this stage set-up city of Sydney. And it's all about these anti-human, anti-life beings combining in large numbers at a community and local level to literally track you down and eliminate you slowly, day by day, gradually. And it drains the life out of you. It turns you into someone and something that is more akin to them, more like them, than about how you are naturally, how you would naturally be. This is the name of their game. They want to reverse the world around because they want to control the world. So if you look anti-human or out of touch with reality or not a real, sensible, natural human being, and they drive you to be aggressive and angry because you are being tracked and hunted down and patrolled continuously, always surrounded by these negative, artificially intelligent, androgyne beings. I say all these descriptions because they usually have an inverted body, they usually have an inverted mind. In other words, they are psychopathic, artificially intelligent beings. That's why we're now being informed of the psychopathy of the psychopathic, malignantly narcissistic, paranoid, controlling, being. That is just telling you that there are people walking amongst human beings that are psychopathic and that are very controlling and that are totally paranoid about controlling every aspect of their environment, and particularly centering around controlling anything that is living. Because psychopaths like everything controlled and dead, or inanimate, in other words. So they like to be able to move objects around, and they prefer those objects to be inanimate or dead because then they can move them around at will. Human beings are living, free-moving objects to them, which they don't like because they can't control them as easily. That's why they stalk and patrol and hunt you down and track you down, using the advanced technology that is now available to them. And this is just the practical, real side of city life, or city non-life, trying to control city real life. Or in other words, psychopaths or artificially intelligent human beings controlling real human beings. And the numbers are in favour of the artificially intelligent beings because they have been developed and programmed to control humanity. And the rest are usually human beings that have been warped into psychopaths due to the gradual environmental and human development circumstances that are the reality of being born into the earth in recent times. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that there's no natural or normal man, woman, healthy, natural relationship development now much in recent years. So therefore, most human beings become very technical and very psychopathic anyway, or at least not a high vibrational, high frequency, normal, natural human being. This has probably been the case in most of human history because of the environment that most of us are born into. So if you're born into circumstances and live amongst other generationally cursed people, then you're going to be the product of that, because as they tell you, you're only as good as the company you keep. You're only as good, your limit will be the environment around you, the company you keep. It will be very hard for you to be, better than that, even if you're meant to be, because that will be your restriction, will be your environment, the limitations of what you think you're meant to be and what you think is the reality. Also, you will react only to what you're conditioned to, as we know. This is what you call psychology, or understanding the human mind. And we've been told this in recent times, but it's just the way it is, as they say. But it's not the way human beings are really meant to be. It's not the way I was meant to live my wasted life, where everything that is really human, or really what I should be in line with, or what I should be associating with so that I feel alive, in reality I've only been interacting with dead human beings. I've always been surrounded by the androgyne beings, or artificially intelligent machine beings, or generationally cursed human beings that are steeped in what we call negative psychopathy, which means that they become the equivalent of being psychopathic in nature. In other words, they don't relate to humanity or to, normal human relationships. They don't trust their own kind. They actually seek to control their own kind because they seek to control their own environment, because they feel that they have been controlled and that they have always been in a negative environment, which is probably true. So if you don't feel that you have a safe or secure environment from the day you are conceived, or the day that you are actually born, and probably both, because I think that there's a lot of artificial medical intervention in most conception, and also most unions between even natural man and woman are often conceived in an unhealthy or unnatural or negative condition. So that means that you rarely in this earth matrix will have normal, natural man, woman, spiritual conception. And that just simply means that you will rarely have anyone brought into the world through the process of extreme high vibrational love interaction. That just simply means, without me sounding pretentious and fancy, it just simply means that you have a true loving relationship that results in the creation of loving life, or at least the creation itself takes place in a loving union between a natural male and female person. This does not happen much now, if at all, because obviously I can't speak on the whole earth matrix, but my own knowledge, but also what I actually see in my own reality, tells me that this does not happen. And if it does happen, you'll still be born into an environment where most around you probably is not natural. So even circumstances could change, because you can change the development of a human being during the process of not just creation, but also the development of the baby, from child to the intervening years to what you call a full-grown adult. But most human beings never reach the full potential of a fully human adult. None of us do. You might physically change, but mentally you remain limited and suppressed and at an undeveloped, immature age, because you never get the chance to be in an environment where you're allowed to develop your full mind and your full human potential. So you actually put down a path where you're actually led to not develop. Just like education is really about controlling the human mind and stopping the human being from becoming a fully fledged, high vibrational, high frequency, or the most advanced human being. Instead, it's about connecting you to technology, or even to the matrix idea of what you think the world should be, so that you remain under their possession, you could say, because it's really possession, because that simply means that you're under their mind control, or you're under the control of what the information and the environment they present to you. So you're never allowed to live in a normal, natural human environment. You're always in an artificial environment that is controlled by the God entity of Earth and its demigods. That means the world stage players. Anyone or anything that gives you information or gives you input into your mind from these demigods. And these demigods come in all different types. They cover everything that you will see or hear. Anything that you look to will usually be controlled by them. So if I turn on a piece of music, I will be controlled by a demigod music artist, or more correctly, often a music demigod idol. You know, because you will believe these beings, because they will represent to you what you think is most human, when they're not human at all. But they're human to you because they express what's in your mind, because we have total transhumanism, which means that human beings' mind is connected to the demigods. It's connected to most of the beings around you, because the technology even of the internet is really a mind to computer connection. And what you don't realize is that it's not a human mind to a human mind connection. Most of the time it's a human mind to an artificial android demigod's mind, or anyone who's anyone that is on the internet. And most of your world stage players also use the human mind to keep control of the human mind, because you're looking at totally different types of beings that all apparently inhabit a real human body. But that's the end time, end game deception that most, I think, can only either partially see or don't see at all. And unless the program is staged in a negative way around you, like in my particular circumstances, you probably will never see it, just as I didn't see it for 60 years. So that's the whole thing, isn't it? So that's a whole wasted life in ignorance or in, deception. But don't forget that I also am part of my own deception, because the information, or as they say, the truth is out there. It's just that most of the time you don't seek it, and it's not presented directly to you. It's only when you start to seek it that it will come to you. And now, although the internet and the computer system is about human mind control, it also does have the truth in it. It's just that you will probably still confuse the truth tellers with the truth. You will confuse the singer with the song. In other words, you will think that the singer is the song, or what they sing about is what they truly think and believe, when it's really a human interpretation. It's like advanced artificial intelligence interpreting the human thoughts and feelings and emotions to the best of their ability into a piece of seductive music that the human being will buy as being from or sung by, and that singer believes and relates to that song, when they're merely advanced artificial intelligence interpreting human emotions and thoughts and ideas. Just as the beings read most human beings' thoughts around you and then put the human beings' actions into practice so that they become the perfect imitation of life. Because they have to read the human mind and have to have the technical connection to the human brain in order for them to pretend to be real humans, because most artificially intelligent androgyne beings don't think positive thoughts, don't think human thoughts, just as psychopaths and malignantly narcissistic, paranoid, controlling types of humans don't think like real humans. They only think about controlling the environment and controlling other human beings. So they don't feel high vibrational human emotions or feelings. They don't think that way, they don't feel that way. They don't relate to life. They only relate to things that are dead. As we're told, human beings, normal functioning human beings think in terms of a life instinct, whereas psychopathic, malignant, narcissistic, paranoid types of humans think in terms of the death instinct. That's the basic difference. So it's the difference between being artificial and being natural or real. I have to use these terminologies and these words to try to just explain the difference between human beings that appear to all be natural human beings when they're really different species, different types of beings in a similar body. That's what makes it difficult to differentiate, because it's very easy to see the difference between different animal species, but it's not so easy to tell the difference between a psychopath and a human. It's very easy to tell the difference between other species because they look so visually different. So you know that their personality and their mind and the way they act is going to be in line with that species. You know that a snake might bite. You know that certain animals are hunters and predators, whereas others are more, they don't hunt. They just live off the land or the environment. You know, in other words, that some species should be frightened or very aware of the presence of a predator, because they know that the predator will cause them harm. They know the predator's out to control them and, use them for their benefit, whereas other species are indifferent to that and don't seek to control the environment because they don't need to. A predator needs to control the environment. A psychopathic, malignant, narcissistic, androgyne being needs to control the environment. An artificially intelligent machine being needs to control the environment. And these beings also feed off human energy. Human beings are electricity that powers their actual life. The human energy powers the energy of these beings, whereas real human beings have electricity or power for themselves, but this is being taken from them by these beings or by the environment around you, so that they survive and you die. That's the reality. Now, what I'm going to do here, just before I finish up, because I don't want to make a long video because it's late or early, but I'm just going to try to show the internet transhumanism, but I don't think I can show it. And also I can't actually frame what I'm filming here because I've got the phone around like that. So that means that, that just simply means that that I can't see what I'm actually filming here, which is unfortunate, but that's just the way, that's the best that I can do it, because I only have a mobile and I don't know how to do anything else except press the record knob and then download it onto the YouTube at this present time. And this has been the case for the last many years, at least 5 odd years. So basically I can only do a very limited amount, because I'm not even though technology controls me, and even though the beings around me use technology to interact and to communicate in their programmed patrol control systems, I myself actually have limited technological use and would use technology if I had, or if I can get it, to make better videos and to communicate better, but it's now too late anyway, so probably I'll be given a computer, maybe to go live if I was just before I pass on, when it's too late, when the androids now control the entire internet. In other words, the androids are secret demigods, or they operate and function for Lucifer, the god entity of the Earth Matrix. That's their god, whether they actually openly worship and believe in this particular deity or not. Because even if you have a kind of psychopathic mindset, you will still be controlling human beings. You will seek to control human beings, so that definitely is in line with the purpose of the God entity and its demigod disciples that control all of the world stage. That just simply means, as I've said, the world stage simply means anyone who's anyone that has any influence or is seen or heard at a world level. And that also will depend on each individual human's interest or what they're allowed to focus on. But either way, just before, I don't think that I can show this very well, but I'm going to try to, just before I finish this video, because I don't want to waste any more time making videos that no one hears, and even if they do, the androgyne beings have full dominion and control over the information and the videos that are on the internet, the YouTube, any platform, any part of the computer system is controlled by android beings that pretend to be real human beings. And at their most open or honest, they will admit that they are psychopathic, malignantly narcissistic types of humans. But that would be a rare minority too. But that's still control, because whenever you listen or give your focus or attention to anything on the computer, that is still energy for them. Because they're really about one mind in many bodies. So they're using every individual, supposedly different android to infiltrate and try to control the individual human minds. And I don't think I explained that very well. But this actual video here, which I don't know if it's coming out or if I'm showing it right, but it's a concert that was performed very recently. And this particular music icon of the past, I was very familiar with when I was 20 years old. And this music idol was very popular in the country of Australia, and indeed worldwide as far as I know. But Australia was very obsessed with a music artist called Cat Stevens. Cat Stevens, yes. And yes, I do like cats. And you can make what you will of the words, because they do like to show their presence by using particular words, but also particular letters. I'm seeing this now myself in very recent times, where that's just showing you how much control they have over your mind, or how much they're reading and interpreting your mind, how much transhumanism is really there. But you don't understand that you have no real private mind, that they, the others, the android beings around and the demigods, are connected by the vast artificially intelligent internet computer system to your mind, and your mind is connected to their computer system or to their mind. They're android beings in human form that are really an artificially intelligent computer system. The God entity of Earth, in a way, Lucifer, is an artificially intelligent human mind control virus that wants to infiltrate the human mind and does have connection to the human mind. This is with the aim of converting your human mind into a more technological mind, or into thinking as they want you to think, so that you live a limited, suppressed human existence and serve and worship Lucifer, the artificially intelligent computer system. Because that particular being is really artificial intelligence. It's very hard to explain, and in fact I find it hard to comprehend, but essentially it's shown to me by this being in its mind control movie productions. Because in everything that you see on a computer or on a screen, this being projects its reality onto you, or what it actually does. And what it actually is too. But you just don't realise most of the time that it's not humans that are making the movies. It's not humans that make the music. It's not humans that make the powers that be, or the situations, or control the earth. It's all about these demigod androids controlling everything, and they're just the artificial intelligence that is Lucifer, being a disciple for the artificial intelligence. In other words, Lucifer's artificially intelligent mind is being projected out through the images and the words and the actions of the demigods. In other words, Lucifer's mind is the mind of the demigods. But the demigods use human mind control and interaction with the human mind to seduce and control the remaining human beings, or some people might say the masses. But the masses are not the masses that you think of the masses. The masses are actually android beings, and they are the vast numbers usually, whereas the human beings are in very small numbers, and they're basically being used as energy sources and information sources about what it is to be human by the android beings, which are vessels or spokesmen or spokespeople for the God entity of Earth and its disciples, because they're a totally different non-human race of beings. They're what some people might call a different life form. Some people might say the difference between angels and demons, because if you think that angels are more like, have more positive or more human-like traits, but that they're at their highest level, and then you think the demons are non-human species, or a different type of being that essentially doesn't relate to the higher frequency and vibrations or anything that's human. They actually relate only to negative vibrations and frequencies. They try to keep everything stagnant and dead, you could say. So it's just simply the difference between psychopathy or psychopaths and human beings. Both are very confused in the Earth matrix because you have different species, different races all mingling together, and they all have different ideas, and they're all under mind control. All human beings are under mind control or mind influence. Depending on how much influence, that's what you call mind control. But the android beings serve the God of Earth and its disciples. So basically, they're under very much total technical mind takeover. So they're very much like their own movies, which tell you that they can literally body snatch or mind snatch. In other words, they can take away the mind of one person and replace it with their kind. But it's probably much more likely that this is done technically at the start. So the magic movies of the Matrix tell you the truth, but they might put it in a way to where you don't see it as real or as technical or even just the true reality of it. So in other words, when you talk about these things like I am, you may not have it as realistically as what it really is. So although I'm aware of the technology that is set against my own mind, and I'm aware of the beings that are set against my own physical body that surround me and that try to control my actions and my mind. They control your mind in hope of controlling your actions. So when you are patrolled, you don't feel free to go where you would normally go, or you don't feel that it's worth your point in going anywhere because you're always going to be surrounded by a patrol force. So you're never going to be able to be free to do things that you would just naturally do. So you're always aware of their presence, so their influence is always around you. So you can't be yourself or what you would like to be. Even if you're doing very little, you actually feel nervous even doing the most basic things. You can hardly breathe. You can hardly breathe. And you can't concentrate on yourself. You're always concentrating on them, and that's what they want, because while you're concentrating on the patrollers and the stalkers and the noise and sound around you, you actually aren't focusing on being yourself. You are actually focusing on them. You're giving your total attention to them, so therefore you are connected to their mind, so they can read your mind and have the transhumanism connection much more direct. So therefore they have more control over you, but they also have more mind to computer connection, because don't forget they're a computer mind. They're artificial intelligence. So my mind is then completely connected to their artificially intelligent mind. So that means they can see and feel and read my entire existence directly. So then they know how to imitate being a human being, and they can also take your ideas and your thoughts as their own. So therefore, you don't get to live your own thoughts and actions or ideas. They get to live out your life as if it's their own. And therefore, they become the perfect imitations of life, while you don't live at all. But I was just going to say that this is a concert by a music past icon who's now like, quite old, and gave a concert at perhaps, might be 70 years old or something. I'm not sure of the actual age of Cat Stevens now, but he's very old, whereas like when he was in his prime and making all these songs, it was like 1970 or in the early 70s. And I was like a very, very, very young girl. 20 years old, probably. So, this concert was given only recently. But you'll notice how the audience, if I'm showing it, doesn't look to be 60 years old, do they? And yet there they are in their massive numbers, cheering and clapping this particular music artist of 1970. To me, that shows transhumanism. These beings are relating to this past one so that they can relate to my mind and the humans that were around, that were real back in 1970. These are all fake androgyne beings. Yes, and I often wear hats like that. So that's total transhumanism. That's just showing, because this just come up for me an hour ago. See, they're all wearing these same hats that I wear. That's interesting. I didn't notice that till now. But see how they're pretending to be humans, but these are android beings. They never relate to this artist. They're only relating to the transhumanism because they want to relate to my mind and to humans' mind so that they don't perish, because they're really an artificially intelligent android race that are trying to become immortal, you could say. They want to keep going, and they don't care if they make humanity extinct in the process, as long as they don't go extinct. And that's the only reason they're here, and the only reason they've interacted with human beings. And they resent and have contempt for humanity for this reason too, I would think. But just let me show this video if I can. See how the massive numbers? That also would not be real. That in, say, the last year, that this particular audience, this is a fake audience, see? That's how old he is now. And look at this. This is not real. These are android trying to relate to me, because I used to, and the environment that I lived in when I was a child used to listen to this particular record and this particular artist, because that was what people did back in those days. You bought records if you had the money. You'd buy a record with your pocket money or your savings, and you would listen to particular records. And I personally didn't buy this record, but the family that I lived with, had these records, and they used to play them loud all over the place where I, was born. So I was familiar with this artist, and I'm not going to go into details, but I was very controlled by this environment. And so, And so I was influenced by it. And I actually won't go into the details, but I was very familiar with this particular music artist called Cat Stevens, which is now known as Yusuf Islam. That's the name. So this artist actually showed that it was a duality, malignant narcissistic being, or an artificially intelligent androgyne being, because it changed its name from its original name, which was Stephen somebody, to Cat Stevens, and then to Yusuf Islam. So because it converted and wanted to infiltrate the different denominations of the world. In other words, it's always been, music artists try to represent the human beings that their mind connected to. So when they see human beings searching for the truth, searching for a belief system, trying to find God, as they say, this artist was always looking for God, always looking for what was the so-called truth and whatever, and was always a representation of what you'd say is a real human, or has human high vibrational frequency personality. But it's all staged and all just a transhuman interpretation, so that these machine beings can keep going. And it's very devastating to realise this, but at the same time, it is true. And it is the reality, and I don't think I'm filming this properly. Yeah, I'm dead, but I'm not gone. And many humans feel dead, but they're not gone. But these beings are already dead, but they're still here. That's right, they're still hanging on, trying to take everything from a human being so that they don't become, totally extinct. And they do a massive deception that most people can't see. And I don't think I'm filming this properly because I've got it round the wrong way, unfortunately, so it's a bit unfortunate there that I can't get it properly. So I might just finish up with something, but I don't know, because I think that they actually show the tragic story of Cat Stevens. They just said there, so they say the tragic story. But it's not tragic at all. It's tragic for the human beings. Of course it is tragic for them too, but only tragic from their perspective, because for them to be using human beings as their guinea pigs so that they don't perish. So, you can say what you like, but, I just see what I can find here. I don't think I can. Don't think I can find that. I was going to play that old song, because to me, this old song, which sounds like the death of a human relationship between a demigod or a demigod music idol called Cat Stevens, that became Yusuf Islam, and its wife, or its lover, shall we say. This is actually not the case, I don't think. And I'm just gonna, I don't think I can find the video. Can I find the video? I don't think so. I don't think I can find the actual music song. The one, I'll just have to pick this one. I would like to have done this more having looked at the videos, but this just came up that I was just going to show, because it just occurred to me that the recent concert, when this particular artist is now no longer really young, but actually must be at least 70 or 75 years old, and still surviving with the transhumanism, but they always present representations of human beings, so it's like that. And I don't think that I can actually show these things properly, but so I'm not sure about that. I think I might just stop that. And these things, that's back when I was 20, that's how this music idol looked, or at least similar, and that's now. See, that's now. That's now. I'm only sorry that I can't see what I'm filming here, so I'm probably making a bit of a, making it a confused, messed up, silly video that most people won't see as real, unfortunately. So they will go to the demigods or the androids of the internet thinking that they're the real deal when they're not. Just as the music idols are indeed that, false idols of earth, really, because yes, they are very good at what they do and they're very influential and very seductive, but they are not real humans. They are a different type of being, and they're really about controlling human beings, even if you fall for them, as you usually will. That was then, back when I was 20, and this is them now at probably about 70, or maybe more, I'm not sure, but they're doing okay. But now, can I film this properly or not? What an unfortunate thing that I can't see what I'm filming. See there, Cat Stevens, that became Yusuf Islam, and don't let them be misunderstood. Well, I suppose, don't let me be misunderstood. They want human beings to be misunderstood, but they want you to understand them. That was back in the day, or when I was, as my memory serves me, but don't forget your memories will be manipulated. Is it all real, or is the whole thing just one big mind control and one big manipulation? That's a good point. How manipulated am I? How mind controlled am I really? So much that it's almost incomprehensible. So almost incomprehensible. So I'll just play it anyway.
La 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 la. My lady Dabandi, why do you grieve me so? But your heart seems so silent. Why do you breathe so low? Why do you breathe so low? I loved you, my lady, though in your grave you lie. I'll always be with you. This rose will never die. This rose will never die. I loved you, my lady, though in your grave you lie. I'll always be with you. This rose will never die. This rose will never die.
And there you have it. So, in my grave I lie, and their rose will never die. They want human beings in their grave. They have to have the human connection. They want to take the life from a human being. So even the love song is a song of death. Their version of love is human death, making a human being go from life to death. That is a very tragic love story indeed.